What is up, guys? Welcome to a new video. We're going to take a look at some of the biggest changes on the PBE for 6.15 and see what is likely going to happen next patch. These things could change, they're not set in stone at all, but it gives us a solid idea of what they're looking to do, like what champions they think need a nerf or a buff and how they want to do it at least. So throw this video a like if you do, dislike it if you don't, let me know what you think of all these changes or who you actually think needs a change. Some of these are a little bit controversial actually. So the first big one is to MALZAHAR, and I actually kind of think this might be the end of how he is right now, like him being on top of everything. It might not seem like a massive deal, but combined with all of the other stuff now, it will probably be a little bit too much. They're going to be targeting his passive this time. So it's only going to stay active now for 0.25 seconds, down from 1 second after your hit, and the cooldown is doubled at late game. MALZAHAR just doesn't do a lot of damage, right? His strength is being able to survive forever while pumping out consistent damage. Think of like Riot to make him really annoying. His like passive is lockdown, slows to kite people. Without his passive though, he's kind of just an immobile mage. This is going to be really hard now to actually play. Like, you used to be able to ult, they'd have to hit you, wait 1 second, then they can interrupt you. Now they only have to wait 0.25 seconds. It's much easier. I did say last patch, like, they targeted his move speed and range, right? The typical test nerfs in preparation for a bigger one. The problem with MALZAHAR, what makes him like OP right now, is his passive, to be honest. Like, finally they're going to target it, but they don't buff damage or anything else to compensate. The thing is, if you're going to nerf someone directly to what is making them so strong and not compensate anything else, not give them any damage or not buff anything else, then you're probably going to be sidelining that champion for a little while and not making him very useful. So this is the next one, which I think is kind of controversial. They're buffing Nidalee, but the aim seems to be making her easier to play. So there are a bunch of changes, like a lot, but they keep putting stuff in and out to test changes on their own, kind of like isolation tests. The main stuff though is in human form, the Q minimum and max damage is increased, like on your javelin. The R as well, like when you change into your Cougar, it doesn't reset your auto attack anymore. When you are actually in Cougar form, your Q takedown, the minimum and maximum damage is increased, the AP ratio is up, and the damage versus hunted targets is up. And again, it doesn't reset your auto attack when switching between them. That is where it is right now, but the Riot designer has said there are more. They are just like kind of tested in isolation for now. So these were actually on the previous PBE patch. So the big one, the one I think is controversial, is when pouncing on hunted targets now, you slow them by 50% for half a second. To sum it up, like if everything goes through, you get more damage now, like on your actual abilities, but no more auto resets. You're even faster in Cougar in the bushes, and you actually slow people when you pounce on them. The slow, I think, is just dumb. Like, why would you give that to Nidalee? She's already a monster, and now it's harder to escape her before she ruins you after the jump. The reason I say it's easier as well is because like the auto reset was a fair amount of damage, but kind of hard to use properly. Now you really don't have to worry about that at all. Your damage instead is placed onto abilities you'd already have used. The slow makes you ganking easier, the point blank spears are gonna hurt more, and you're more slippery while running around in bushes as well. All of these things make her easier to pick up and play for a kind of a new Nidalee player, rather than having to actually master her like it was before. I really do not like this design idea Riot have. Like, they're making champions easier to play and stop rewarding experience and mastery of a champion as much. So what I actually think this is gonna mean, like if these changes go to live, like low elo will see way more Nidalee play now. She'll become super annoying and probably pick or ban again. Worse Nidalee players will be more effective, and from the little I've tested this, it seems to be doing more damage in ganks. So clear isn't as effective early, I guess, but Nidalee is already a champion that can do a lot of damage in a game and carry so hard by herself. Now we're just making that easier to do. I don't really get it. Alright, before we fill up the comments with salt, let's go on to some other changes that might be pretty cool actually. The first one is to Renekton getting a few decent buffs on his ult, which I actually really like. So he gains 20 fury now immediately after using it, plus his 5 normal per second, which is already on live, and the AoE damage around him is going to be more early on as well. It doesn't seem like a ton, but basically that's like 4 seconds of free fury now, which is decent. He's also supposed to be this lane bully, like anti-carry champion, right, who in theory should be really good in this meta. At the very least, it's way more forgiving now. You don't have to plan out your trades as perfectly when you use your ult to already have like the fury you're gonna need to kill someone, I guess. Just to say though, by the way, if you play this on live, if this change actually makes it to live, you want to make sure you don't ult at full fury and waste it now, because it's actually gonna be a lot of extra damage. Now the bigger one is actually to Jarvan. I think we might see him come back this patch. I know I said that last patch, but I really like this. So the attack speed on the flag is up now, especially early, from 10 to 15, and late game is kind of up a little bit as well. Remember though, we don't really max this first. Probably in fact we're gonna max this last now, so we'll be getting that 5% more for most of the game, which is a good change. Now it isn't just this. That on its own is not going to be enough to bring Jarvan back, but remember in 6.13 there was a change to his W as well. His shield has like 2 halves to it, so it's the base value and then per champion a round, he gets extra onto the shield. So it's massively up rank 5 from 60 to 100 per champion. Basically, in theory, he can get a 670 health shield for 5 seconds on a 7-ish second cooldown. Right now, we're seeing like Assassin Jarvan do really well, like run in and one-shot people, right? But what about Tank Jarvan after this? 15% attack speed buff, massive shield in the middle of a team fight, your knock up, armor reduction, ult to hold people, all of these things are really good. I think this might be enough to get Jarvan played again. Cinderhulk into Black Cleaver is what I've been messing around with and having a lot of fun with. So it may be the middle of summer, it's actually sunny in England, which is very rare, but I think Riot think it's Christmas because they've decided to buff Vayne. These aren't the biggest changes at all, but I'll take what I can get at this point, but I think that could be kind of good. So your tumble is now consumed on towers, and the Q crit is only rolled once, which I'm pretty sure means if the auto park crits, so will the tumble damage instead of being different. Overall, a damage increase anyway. The bigger thing is to your ultimate. So your final hour, now when it's active, it grants you 25 extra range the entire duration. Now Riot have said this might get pulled. They're just testing it, but that's a pretty insane change and would be enough to make it a whole ton better if it went through. The problem with Vayne is in fights you have to be super close to do any damage, right? It's hard because of AoE damage and you're closer to the danger, but that increased range would definitely do a lot. To be honest, I assume the Q consuming on towers means the bonus damage is going to apply as well. Not 100% sure, but that's how it reads, and this might actually justify like top lane bruiser split push Vayne now. I'm not recommending you go and do this before you flame me, but Blade of the Ruined King, Phantom Dancer, Frozen Mana is literally the most annoying thing ever to deal with, and it might actually get people to play it, which will not be that fun to deal with. Alright, so let's talk about a few nerfs though on the PBE this time around. So Sona is actually getting changed, and I'm kind of not surprised and surprised at the same time. Sona is broken right now, 100% way too strong, but this isn't going to fix that anyway. Your heal is down 20 rank 5, it's going to be the same rank 1 though, and your E-move speed is going to be down 3% every rank. This is not going to be enough. The issue is way more like the constant swapping in team fights and the rank 1 heal in lane. Ironically, they're going to be targeting the later heal ranks, right? But people have been maxing Q still with Thunderlords anyway for a bit of lane pressure. The reason I am surprised is because they normally wait longer before nerfing a champion, especially after new changes. Think of like Jhin and Ashe, for example. They're both top tier 80 carries and haven't been touched for months now. Anyway, I still think Sona will be top tier and the changes aren't really going to be doing as much, but it isn't just this. Ardent Censer and Crucible are now unique passives, meaning you cannot stack the 15% healing and shield power. You can pretty much thank Sona for this, by the way. Like, she abused the mechanics so well that it was bound to happen and bound to be changed. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this is just the same items you cannot stack or it's not going to work together like it's two different items, but the way it reads seems like you can only have one 15% increase now. That would be pretty dumb and pretty unfair, I think. Now you have to choose between Crucible and Ardent Censer. Both are really good, and that will suck for healer supports. A big reason why Sona, Soraka, Nami, etc. are so good is because they can provide the cleanse with Crucible and the damage from Censer with heals as well. That's all with no cost for the AD carry, so they get all the benefits for free. We actually might see a shift back to more aggressive supports now. Definitely like to counter Sona, Soraka anyway, like Leona, Blitzcrank, Braum, Thresh. These guys will come up to get lane control back. Hecarim is another one getting nerfed, but there's not really a surprise there, honestly. It took a little while, but he's been way too strong. His base AD is being lowered, and also the AD on his Q by 10. It's not the biggest thing ever, but remember, you spam that Q over and over, so it will actually add up to a decent amount of damage lost. Before we break that down, actually, let me go into Vlad here as well. So his base move speed is down, and his W cooldown is increased by 2 seconds per rank. These both might be the Malzahar treatment. That's what I'm thinking might actually happen next patch. Like last time, we actually saw small buffs to see what the effect had, and then something bigger coming in the future. I mean, honestly, like Vlad is almost identical to what they did to Malzahar. Like they nerfed the move speed, and then they came at Malzahar with a much bigger thing. Both are top tier, that's for sure. Hecarim is better in my opinion though at every rank. Like he dominates rank queues right now because he can be tanky and do a lot of damage, which is kind of just ridiculous. Like that's exactly what you don't want to have on the enemy team. If you play these, I'd probably say start to learn something else as well. Just like Malzahar, I don't know for sure, but it's likely they'll get whacked with the nerf bat in a patch or two. So there are a few other changes, but nothing is too major. There are two that kind of like stick out though. So Zyra is actually getting a buff. Her AP ratio of base damage late game is up on her Q. I think this is kind of weird, like when she's already considered annoying and too strong, but I'm not really actually too sure. Like most people think it's really irritating playing against the Zyra, right? It's very oppressive, it's not very fun at all, and now they're going to give her more damage. Anyway, yeah, I don't get that one, but Talia has also got 2 nerfs on the PB, but one has been reverted for now, so it might go through, it might not. The ultimate cooldown is up at early ranks to try and stop her being this roaming god. Like right now, she actually plays more like a Twisted Fate, but is a lane bully at the same time. That's the biggest problem. She can kill people in lane and then roam around and kill people in side lanes. components. So that one is nice and everything, but the other one was massive, and this has been reverted for now, but the Q cooldown was increased, the damage was down, the mana refund was down, and subsequent hits from your Q did less damage than before. Those nerfs were so harsh, like that was a big deal. That's all 4 things basically on that Q, like all 4 components that make it work are being nerfed. I don't think they'll come back right now, they might do, but maybe next patch, but for now she's very strong, but this would gut her completely. Like this would make people just stop playing her. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Remember to like this video if you did, subscribe, all that lovely stuff, but for now I'm gonna leave you with the robots.